One, and we're live. Welcome, everyone. It is July 7th. It is the 15th episode of the Bloomcast. We are coming to you live from our living rooms, our dining rooms, maybe even our restrooms. My name is Luis. I'm one of the founders of Bloom Solutions. We're still in lockdown. I thought we were going to be out of lockdown already. I am joined today by an awesome cast. Blockchain enthusiasts, trading technical analysts, and some new faces also. So I'm going to be introducing them right now. With me is, to my left, Coach Eman. Say hi. Thank you so much for joining us. He's going to have to bounce pretty quickly, but he's going to join us to tell us why the Bitcoin price is not moving. Directly below him, Miko Ilas from Binance Filipino. Miko, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello.
Below him, newcomer to the podcast, to the webcast, I should say, Chris Verceles, CTO and founder of a DeFi startup, and he will tell us more about that later. Thanks so much for joining us and lending us your expertise. Joining us in the chat, Arshalin, Myrtle Ann, Tony Reyes. They're going to be helping us on the social media side. They've been really, really instrumental in getting this show to more people, more eyeballs. We're also with Paulo Del Puerto, CEO of Moneybees, and my two co-founders, Ramon Tayag, CTO of Bloom Solutions, and Justin David, COO of Bloom Solutions. Okay, so we've got a big show for you guys. We're going to be talking about some interesting things. But before we get to the meat of the show, I want to say some very important thank yous. This is kind of, it's been a really big week for Bloom. And I just wanted to make sure that we're able to say thank you to the proper people. So if you'll just bear with me for 1 minute. So we had a big milestone last week. If you watched the show 3 weeks ago, we were talking about, we did a demonstration of how to trade on the new Binance P2P marketplace. And Bloom is one of the vendors there. And we were very, very excited to find out just a few days ago that we were the first Philippine vendor to hit about $1 million traded on the marketplace as of July 3rd. So that was a really, really big milestone for us. And we just wanted to say thank you to Binance Filipino. We wanted to say thank you to all of the Binance customers that traded with us. Thank you for kind of supporting us and also for trusting us. I'm sure that many of you, that was your very first P2P trade ever. So it must have been a little bit nerve-wracking also, but we're very grateful. One more thank you. One real quick one. This one is, one of the things that really works on me. If you send me gifts through the mail, I will definitely say thank you. So I got this from a friend of the show, Arnel. I think he's in the chat stream right now. Thank you so much for the gift. His startup is called Billion Happiness. This is actually really nice packaging. So it's got a shirt in it, I believe. There you go. So it's got a shirt that comes out like that. Pretty cool. Very impressed. Looks good. Maybe, hopefully, we can talk about your startup at some point in the future. So thank you, Arnel. Thank you for the shirt, and thank you for supporting the show. Okay, so things that I am very happy about this week. There's only one bit of news that I wanted to go to, and then I'm going to throw it to Coach Eman. So a couple of interesting people just announced that they were going to run as presidents of the United States. So the first was Kanye West, and the second was Brock Pierce. And so it's kind of weird. I wasn't really sure what to make of this, but both of them announced their intentions on July 4th, because I guess that's when you do it. Kanye said on Twitter, and actually both of them announced it on Twitter, which I guess is also how people do these things now. So Kanye said, we must now realize the promise of America by trusting God, unifying our vision, and building our future. I am running for the President of the United States. #2020 vision. And then almost immediately, Elon Musk, replies and he says, you have my full support. So I don't know, take of that what you will, I guess. And then a few hours after that, Brock Pierce said, Brock Pierce, am running for president of the United States. Hashtag 2020, hashtag Brock the vote. So for people who don't know who Brock Pierce is, he was one of the very, very first, very instrumental people in getting the Bitcoin Foundation back in the very early days of Bitcoin. He helped get it up and running. And then later on, he became a very, very big part of the EOS community. With Dan Larimer and Brendan Bloomer. So he's one of those very key figures in the EOS community. I believe his crypto net worth is somewhere in the $800 to $900 million range. So he's not exactly poor from having supported crypto from a very early point in time. That being said, Kanye is not exactly a slouch either, no? So he has his net worth is about $1.3 billion. I'm not sure if that's all because of the sneakers, but I wanted to kind of just give this to the panel. Who are you voting for? Who are you supporting?
You're missing one important point about Brock.
Oh yeah, well sorry, tell me what it is.
He was in Mighty Ducks.
Oh yeah! Oh my God! Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I'm sorry. Super sorry. Completely forgot.
That's his ticket.
I buried the headline.
Yeah, but Brock Pierce has a little bit of a background, that we not talk about here. But that will definitely come up.
Tell him why isn't he part of that group anymore?
Probably. But they maybe should have launched it on 1st of April because that would have made more sense.
So it is apparently Kanye West's second attempt to run for president. It's not even his first time, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, just, if you had to choose Yeezy or EOS, where are you guys at with this vote? This is meaningless because none of us are citizens, but, it's a funny thing to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Miko Ilas, do you have a horse in this race? Do you care at all? Do you wear sneakers? Are you a sneaker guy?
No, but I have a Brock Pierce story.
Okay. Have you met him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in the Philippines.
Okay.
Back in the day.
In Mactan, did you see him when he was there? Or
in Cebu, yeah.
Okay.
Let's just say he was the keynote speaker in Wild Such conference in Cebu by the project in the Philippines. So
is your story PG or is it not for work?
Public consumption?
Oh, it's the yacht story.
He's just really this he's this down to earth guy who a bit up there. I mean, he's nice, I guess. That's the thing about him. He's nice.
All right. Well,
given someone his stature, I guess, and he can act like he could probably act like a VIP and no one would mind because he was the featured speaker after all. But he was kind of humble.
I think there's a height requirement for being president, isn't there?
Oh, Mark, I'm so glad that you said that because so I'm gonna hit you guys with some amazing stats right now because I actually memorized all this shit when I was preparing for the show. Nice. The average height of every single president of the United States from Abraham Lincoln up to Trump is 5'7". Okay,
Oh, wow.
That's across all of them, right? 5'7" only. 5'7" only. However, here is the really important part about this statistic. On average, every winning president has been 1 inch taller than the losing president.
Oh.
And that has been that average has held for the last 400 400 years. How many presidents is it now? Right? It's a lot, right? Whatever.
It's kind of difficult to measure now how high the presidentiables are. By the way.
Brock Pierce is 5'4". I know that. And Kanye is 5'9", and I know that too for some weird reason. And I know that Taylor Swift is 1 inch taller than Kanye West.
And Donald Trump is...
I don't know a lot about height, guys. I don't know.
Donald Trump is taller than both of those, so there's no chance to get in.
He is 6'2".
I'm not talking about taller. Never mind.
Okay. All right. Hey, so Miko, this is a 6:30 p.m. show. This is a late night show, so you can't do the weird stuff yet.
Yeah.
So So anyway, that was my irrelevant trivia for the week. I don't know why I spent so much time reading about the heights of presidents, but if Brock actually goes up against Kanye is favored to win purely because of the height difference, and it might be about 4 or 5 inches.
Wait, whichever president comes into power, there's a lot of people, more and more people are going digital currencies, Bitcoin, etc. So do you think that's going to maybe make a difference in the future when voting for a president that says, we want to go digital, we want to go cashless, where I encourage cryptocurrency?
Wasn't Andrew Yang kind of very pro-crypto, pro-something? He was very pro-crypto, wasn't he, Andrew Yang?
Yeah. Andrew Yang was...
he had great ideas, Andrew Yang.
Yeah.
Wait,
so, he didn't make it to... Yeah.
Di ba may kaso si Brock Pierce?
That's the part that I didn't want to mention, but yes.
I'm getting into that.
Discuss it in our 11 p.m. show.
Let's not do that for the 6:30 p.m. show.
Buti na lang do your own research ako.
Yeah.
If Donald Trump had skeletons in the cupboard, then Brock Pierce has definitely got a few.
I mean, I feel like that is kind of a feature in every presidential candidate now, that you have some kind of, like dirty laundry or something like that. So that's kind of sad.
It's airtime for sure.
Oh yeah. So I don't know if we will ever bring this up again. I just find it kind of funny that they both announced at the same time, and for some reason we now know who Elon Musk is going to support. But yeah, the other thing that's actually really interesting about this is that Kanye is actually pretty pro Bitcoin, believe it or not. I don't know why that is the case, but apparently he is. So there you go. None of us are voting, as far as I can tell. Chris, you're not a U.S. citizen by any chance, are you?
No.
Okay, all right.
But I would vote for Brock.
There you go. All right. Justin, are you you're definitely a Yeezy guy, right? You're a sneaker guy.
Yeah, and not just for the sneakers, but I just want to see Kim Kardashian as first lady.
There's a common requirement now for first lady.
That's true, actually. Yeah, Kim Kardashian as the first lady would be an amazing. Can you imagine the Keeping Up with the Kardashians would be staged in the White House?
Holy crap, right?
Yeah. So we're getting closer and closer to Idiocracy. The movie.
Idiocracy. Yeah, exactly.
If anyone hasn't seen that film, they need to go see it.
Must watch.
Definitely. Okay, so that was the joke time part of the show. I just wanted to kind of, just open up with that. What happened last week to the Bitcoin price? Our last show was June 30th. The price at the time was 9,090. Call it 9,100. And as of this morning, we were at 9,300. It felt like the market was very, very sideways. I don't know if Coach Eman has his own thoughts about this. Do you want to share your screen, bro?
Yeah.
And Coach, can you talk about how the US market affects it? Around about 9 o'clock every morning our time, 9:30, 9:30.
Yeah, sure. 9:30.
I had some questions actually about kind of what's happening with the US dollar also. Go ahead, Coach, if you want to share your screen.
Okay, sure.
Okay. There you go.
So, I think last week, this was the our analysis for last week. So, these past few days, I also have this analysis that we saw a hidden divergence. So, divergence meaning it is not agreeing with the price. So, we have the oscillator over here, so which is what we call RSI. So it represents the relative strength index. So if the relative strength index doesn't agree with the price, there's a probability that it might reverse. So in this case, we might expect a reversal on the upside. So I agree with Luis. We've been in a range for over a month or two. Yeah, a month or two. So from there, it's really, really hard to trade BTC, and that's why we also looking to trade altcoins. So these past few days, we have seen VET. I don't know what are the catalysts behind VET or with Link, pero if you saw the percentage or the performance of VET was like around from this low, from its breakout.
V chain.
Yes,
Sorry,
VET
I didn't
chain.
know what VET was. Okay, yeah.
VET
Okay,
chain
got it.
increased from it did a increase of 239, or let's say 240-ish%. So that's a huge increase in price. Pero if we're going to compare that to BTC, there's not much really a movement. So yeah, so if you are going to trade major currencies like BTC, ADA, except USDT, okay. What else? And the point is, if we are going to trade top 10 currencies, we should treat it like a currencies. So if we're going to trade VET chain or V chain like this, we should trade it like stock, whereas we can expect a huge increase in price. Because if we're going to trade currencies and we are expecting a huge increase in price, there will be a huge mismatch, since BTC has a how many? Let's check out the coin market cap. Okay, so with BTC, it has a 63.8% dominance. So it will be hard for us to push BTC if there will be no volume. And the status of volume this past few days, or the market cap, is playing around on a range also, around 270 to 260, 255 billion. So again, if we want to see a huge movement in the major currencies, there has to be at least a huge money coming in. And there was also a tweet from CZ. So there was a huge money that was moved into Binance. That's why one of the probability that might be one of the probability that push the price higher. For example, with altcoins and Link and ADA. So those are the coins that we are still looking for, since we also had a price increase like this. So with going back to BTC, so we already have a analysis over here, and we also have mentioned that if there is a hidden divergence, we can expect a upside on the price. And just like what we have said before, still our analysis is still the same. If the price hold this area between 9.8 to 9.6, or let's say 9.4-ish, we are now expecting for the price to break this resistance level. So with Mark, so he is asking if what would be the if there's any correlation in the US stock market and BTC. So one sec, let me load my FinViz. Okay, so one of the reason why I'm also spending my time trading US is because the SPY, the S&P, is also starting to recover, and there was a huge volume, and I have seen 2 billion to 10 billion market cap stocks that goes up from 30% to 500% to 1,000%. So it is a really good trade if you guys know how to trade US, especially with day trade. I don't hold stocks overnight, so I only do day trade. So if you're going to trade this, again, this is not a financial advice. This is more volatile than crypto, because if we're going to compare the market cap, apparently stock market has more market cap right now than the cryptocurrency market. So with that, I'm going to give back the audio to Luis.
I wanted to ask, like there's a lot of talk about the Bitcoin market being quite volatile when the New York market opens around 9 o'clock. That's 12 hours. So it's 9
so 9 p.m. 9 p.m.
Yeah, the pre-market open is 9 p.m. and it starts to open at 9:30.
And so that's when a lot of volatility happens on Bitcoin, which is where if you're a trader, then you can win or lose then.
Is that the case consistently?
This past few weeks, what happened is it has a huge movement every weekend.
What?
Every weekend. Huh.
And the last couple of weeks, the weekend's been quiet, and it's midweek. It's been it's going up and down, especially around 9 o'clock. When the market opens. So I'm trying to figure out if that's going to be a future thing or not.
Regarding with the movement of the price, the best thing to look for especially on our time frame is that 8 a.m. in the morning. So that is the starting point of the market. So regarding with the momentum, just like what you mentioned earlier, that there has been a movement in the past few days, and the weekend is starting to, like, there's no volatility, that much volatility. The market is changing over time, so that's why I don't really look that much, especially the markets here is 24/7. So I solely focus on our time frame, which is the 8 a.m. window.
Okay.
For speculating another movement, because
But I hope not. I don't get up at that time, you know.
you don't need to get up with that time if you are not going to sleep.
Nice.
If you're going to stay awake.
Wow.
Before you leave, there's a question here. I know we don't give financial advice, but I thought it's a question worth raising. What's the target entry for short positions? Is that
I
something
don't
you can
recommend.
comment on?
What is that BTC?
I think so. Yeah.
He didn't. Yeah, he wasn't specific. But you were talking about the Bitcoin price.
You were talking about Bitcoin, I think.
Yeah.
When
So
he posted that.
regarding that, I don't want to short this market because we have a hidden divergence in this one, and for me, it doesn't fully materializes yet. So if we are going to take a look at this candlestick, it's still on a correction. So tomorrow will be the window for opportunity if we are going to trade this. But again, trade at your own risk, because this price level is also near our support level, which probably give us a good risk to reward ratio. Meaning, if we're going to trade this, we are willing to risk $100 to get, let's say, another, let's say the best risk to reward ratio is 1:3. So let's widen our stop loss. So let's say we are willing to lose 100 to have another, to have a 200 in this area. So again, I might be wrong. So I hope I am wrong on my analysis, especially with shorts, because if you're going to take a look at it on the larger perspective, the trend over here is still intact. So you might not want to short it. So wait for confirmation if you're going to short it. Like, confirmation for short is breakdown.
Okay. Great. Okay. Were there any other questions that we needed to address? No,
Luis,
naman, no.
by the way, are we going to proceed with the Forsage topic after this? Because I am planning to stay.
Yeah, sure.
And then I'm going to bounce after the Forsage.
Oh, but that's the whole show. Like, you're gonna stay for the whole show. Yeah, man. That was the whole show. Eh? So the reason why, actually, I might as well say it now. No, the reason why Chris Verceles is here right now is because he was the person that I was consulting with in order to get a better idea of what was actually going on in the smart contract of Forsage. So if you want to stick around, of course you're always welcome to stick around. I just don't know if you needed to do something. I had another show that was happening. Kasi.
Yeah, sure. So can I give at least a small input with the Forsage?
Sure, please.
Okay, so there has been a lot of scam since crypto was there, right? For example, the BTC Connect and the New Gen. There are tons of popular scams that eventually that was gone, and this Forsage it sounds like for sale. So for Forsage, my thoughts with this one, if it's like trading. So the reason why people get scammed because they think that this is their home run trade. If they put their savings, let's say, what else? If they ask for a loan in their bank, and then tomorrow they'll be a instant millionaire. So if you guys, especially those who watch this stream, if you're going to join, I don't recommend joining this. But especially we as human beings, there's sometimes in urge that I want to join this Ponzi scheme, but I don't want to tell anyone. If you're going to do that, it's like trading. You should always manage your risk for it. Let's say if you're going to join this kind of say Ponzi scheme and you want to take risk. Imagine that if you're going to invest, let's say, 10,000 pesos, this 10,000 pesos should at least return with a, let's say, 50,000 pesos. So with that, we already have a like 1:4 ratio. So, but what if you are late with the trend? Okay, let's say the SEC is starting to bust them out, and then there's a lot of news that people or the SEC will close the Forsage. You won't be bothered, or you can sleep at night because you just spent 10,000 pesos. And I believe 10,000 pesos is just small for this kind of stuff, right? But if you're going to spend 1 million and then expect that to return another million or 4 million, that will be a huge risk for us. So with that, it still boils down on the risk management. So yeah, that's my thoughts. And I believe I'm not going to stay long because I've already mentioned.
Okay. Well, up to you if you want to stick around. But I think that. But I'll take the. I can take the screen share back now. I think. Wait, how do I do? I actually don't know how to do that. Sorry, you have to be the one to end it, pala.
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
Yep. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So I think let's go back to the show. There you go. Yeah. So the main topic for this show is actually suggested by Myrtle and some other folks last week. But no, so they were actually requesting that we talk about it because there were so many people that were asking them about it. So the name of the investment scheme is Forsage. Some people say Forsage, I first started hearing about it from our Cebuano crypto community friends because it was getting pretty big over there. And then I started hearing it here in Metro Manila as well. So I didn't really know anything about it until Myrtle mentioned it. And then I kind of, looked it up and then I did my own research. And I think Tuesday last week was when Tama-Tama, the SEC, the Philippine SEC, actually issued an advisory about it. So it suddenly became very relevant. So I wanted to talk about it on the show, but I didn't want to just talk about it in theory. I wanted to actually go in. I wanted to actually show you guys how it works. And I actually wanted to show you guys what a smart contract actually looks like in real life. Because, a lot of people talk about so last week we did ERC20. The week before that, we did stable coins. We're talking about these concepts one at a time. And now we're at the point where I think we can probably talk a little bit about how smart contracts work, just to give you an idea of what it actually is. No, because right now it's still very abstract for a lot of people. And, people just say words like smart contract and without necessarily understanding what that means. So that's what we're going to do. There's two terms here that you're probably already familiar with, but I'm just going to define it really quickly. We're going to say DApp a lot. So that means decentralized app. And then we're going to say DeFi a lot, decentralized finance. Mark always calls it DeFi because he's weird. But whatever. We're going to say DeFi mostly because it's cooler. It sounds cooler that way. But yeah, so those are hopefully the only two terms that we're going to use that people might not be familiar with. So I wanted to talk a little bit about basically the fact that, the Ethereum industry right now is full of dApps, and most of them are decentralized finance apps. And Ethereum is infinitely programmable, meaning that you can build anything you want kasi on top of Ethereum. And unfortunately, a lot of the things that people build on top of Ethereum are they look kind of scammy. This screenshot here that we're looking at, this is a screenshot from the site DApp Stats. And what it does is it actually ranks the most popular of all of the decentralized apps. So it's not just Ethereum, it's Tron, it's EOS, and some other blockchains. So you can see here that the top five dApps, the first one is called Bank of Tron. Obviously, that's built on Tron. The second one is called Tron Dividends, obviously also built on Tron. The third one is Beehive Fast, also built on Tron. That's the little logo here. Kasi. And then number 4 and number 5 are both Ethereum dApps. So the first one is number 4 is Forsage. Number 5 is Million Money. And if you look at the category, all of them are categorized as high risk. And what that means is that if you use these dApps, there is a risk that you will lose your money. So it's very interesting that they're very careful with the words. No, they don't actually say this is a scam. That's not what they're saying. They say it's high risk. So kind of like what Eman was saying also, now, whether or not it's a scam, you should be looking at it as a risky investment, and that's how your mind should be working.
Usually in a scam, then that means that someone is making money out of it somewhere. So I'm trying to figure out how Forsage does.
That's why Chris is on the show. So he can actually tell us a little bit about how it actually works. Hopefully he won't end up building his own at some point. I'm just kidding.
I deployed another
like me.
That's a joke. That's a joke. Like, please, no one quote me on that. So let's talk about what popularity means, no? Because Bank of Tron has, you can see the stats here. Bank of Tron had 10,000 users over the last 24 hours. Tron Dividends, same thing, 10,000. Beehive, 9,000. And then Forsage had about 4,700. So kind of, when I first took this screenshot a few days ago, Forsage was the number 1 dApp on the entire internet. And they were doing about 9,000 users in 24-hour cycles. Forsage is not the number 1 app anymore. It's been overtaken by these Tron apps. But it's still very popular, right? It's still very, very popular. So how much does the panel know about Forsage so far? Like the ones who just found out about what the topic was earlier today. Mark, had you heard about it before?
I've been looking at it, and I looked at the smart contract today as well.
Okay. Pao, has anyone asked you about Forsage?
No, not really. But I've seen it being discussed around social media. But it's just really this afternoon that I looked into it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Mon, Justin, I mean, I told you guys that we were going to do the Forsage thing, but had you heard about it from anyone else before we started talking about it?
Yeah, some people, some friends of mine asked me about it. They saw, blockchain or Ethereum, ask Mon, right? So I didn't even look at, I didn't even look at the smart contract. I just looked at what it promised to return.
Yeah.
And what people were posting.
Yeah.
That they were getting back.
Right.
I was like, okay, scam.
MLM stuff. I heard about it through like people were asking about the Trust wallet, which seems like the wallet that a lot of them were using or being asked to set up if you joined. So that was the only part I was asked if Trust was a legit wallet, and as far as I know, Trust is a legit wallet.
Yeah, we've talked about it a ton on the show.
Yeah. So yun lang, I didn't look into this until this afternoon.
Okay. I think I was like you guys also before prepping for the show. I just knew about it because everyone was suddenly starting to mention it. But it was only recently now that I started to really dig in. And I was actually kind of, Chris, I don't know if you want to say anything about kind of this screenshot here where we're talking about, like we've got the top 5 dApps. Like the top 5 dApps are basically all, it looks like they're all high risk investment schemes. They all look a little sketchy. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, my first thought was, which site is this?
dApp stats.
Oh, okay. I'm probably looking at completely different sites.
Okay. Yeah. So so it measures by number of users, and it also measures by number of transactions over 24-hour periods.
Got it. I guess it surprised me a bit. Just being a DeFi enthusiast, I look at what other DeFi sort of stat pages tell me, which is like total value locked rather than number of transactions and number of users, which maybe is also a relevant thing to look at. So.
Yeah. So if you look at the list, what's actually interesting here is the only apps that I knew of, the ones that I'd even heard of, they were all the way in the bottom, kind of number 16, number 17, number 18. So it was Kyber, the Poloniax DEX, and then Compound. So yeah. So because they're counting unique users over 24-hour periods, kasi. So I guess with Compound, there just weren't that many users. Although Compound has tons of volume, as far as I can tell, no. And Compound is actually the one that I know of the most, the one that I'm most familiar with. So I was kind of surprised that, in terms of just number of users, these the sketchy apps are the ones that are seeing the most activity, which is kind of unfortunate. So the next slide that I wanted to share here is, I guess we talked about it earlier, some warning signs that what you are looking at is a Ponzi scheme. So Mon already said one of them, right? If you are guaranteeing, profit that just looks too much, that's probably the number one most obvious sign. But I wanted to ask you guys, so, okay, the problem is that a lot of people who know anything about Bitcoin know that it went up, 1,000,000%, right? So like when you say that your investment scheme is crypto related, I think that they can point to things like Bitcoin and point to things like Ethereum and point to the fact that those made so many multiples of, kind of the initial investment. I'm not sure how to, it feels like an unfair comparison, but like, how would you guys respond to something like that?
The gains you got in Bitcoin and Ethereum, etc., that time is over. You invested early and you were at the beginning of technology, like being in right at the beginning of the internet. If you bought domain names like camera.com, sex.com, whatever, you were made a lot of money later on because you were in very early on as a tech nerd or whatever. So they do play on that, but most people should know that those times are over and now it's getting a bit more mature and you can't get those kind of gains anymore. But with like a lack of education, that's a problem, where people just believe what they're told.
What do you think, Mon?
I think the key word there is guaranteed, right? Like,
okay.
I mean, when you bought Bitcoin early on, none of it was guaranteed, right? Like so many people sold when Bitcoin went from $1 to $4, and they're like, "Ooh, 4x," right?
Right.
But none of it was guaranteed. And if it's not guaranteed, then you can call it a casino, or gambling online, and that's fine, right? But I think the keyword is really guaranteed.
And the thing to remember there's only two things that are guaranteed in life.
Death and taxes? What are they?
Death and taxes.
Death and taxes. Yeah, okay.
Something else.
Yeah, I know. I thought it would be something else. I was gonna say like death and network fees or something like that. I don't know. Okay. The second warning sign, and actually this is the other one that's also, you could also put this up against crypto, no? Unregistered investment or unlicensed sellers. Now, that's also describing the entire cryptocurrency industry to a certain extent, no? So, there's licensing now, but like 3-4 years ago, no one had a license to sell Bitcoin. And also there was no registration. You couldn't register with the SEC if you wanted to build something that was Bitcoin related. There was no mechanism for that. So a lot of people, I feel, have a hard time differentiating between, just crypto in general and these very more specific parang Ponzi schemes inside the crypto industry. The third item was secretive or complex strategy. And later, if we've got time, I might actually have Chris show us his screen, and maybe he can tell us a little bit about exactly how secretive and or complex the Forsage strategy is. I spent a lot of time trying to read through it, and I now know way too much about matrix cyclers and pyramid schemes. So I don't know if I'll ever use that information anywhere else. the fourth thing, and this one is actually really, really important because it's the most important thing that is very different about Forsage. So the fourth item on the SEC's warning signs is difficulty in receiving payments. So in a more traditional Ponzi scheme, typically the longer the Ponzi scheme runs, the more hard it is for a newcomer to actually get any of their profit out, right? Because the system will just keep telling them, hey, keep putting your money in, it's growing, blah, blah, blah. But then it's very hard for them to actually pull it out. What's interesting about Forsage and what is really unique about it, I guess if you compare it with a normal Ponzi scheme, is that Forsage pays out instantly. And if you look at the Forsage wallet, there's no ether on it. It's always at zero balance. So the thing cycles the ether that comes in almost immediately. So it never has any ether in and of itself. It always kind of disperses it to whoever else is within the system. So I thought that was kind of interesting because for a lot of people that is enough to convince them to give this a shot. Because if they know that they can get their money out relatively quickly, there's less risk maybe. But anyway, yeah. So that's one of those things that I just thought was really interesting. So a few days ago, the SEC took a look at this, kind of maybe the same way that we're looking at it right now. They took a look at it and they decided that Forsage was a Ponzi scheme. As far as I can tell, it is the only SEC in the world that has done that. So kind of interesting that we were the first one to do it. I've never seen that happen before. And at the time, the Forsage dApp was the number one dApp on Ethereum, and that was because of the number of users. And it was also supposedly responsible for the fact that gas fees were something like $5 around that same time. Wow. Because there were so many people using this stuff. Honestly, $5 from a Bitcoin perspective, it's not that big because we've had some really, really bad network fees. But yeah, I mean, for Ethereum, it's pretty high.
Yeah, I mean, for a computing network, it's expensive, right?
Yes, for sure. Yeah. And I thought it was really interesting, that so basically it's like this year's CryptoKitties. Like it became so popular that it was causing the gas prices of Ethereum to go up because there's so many people trying to use it. Chris, okay, I want to kind of turn this one over to Chris. Do you have are you looking at the live stream right now, bro?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Chris actually made us one slide where he was gonna kind of describe how the Ethereum blockchain kind of works from a smart contract perspective. Did you want to take over now? We're on your slide.
Sure. Yeah, I'm looking at slide 9, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I mean, just to go over it through a high level to sort of set up whatever questions I might answer later. But if you look at like the top portion of slide 9, what you're going to see are like 4 numbers that sort of like act as like principles of like what enables smart contracts. So, I mean, one, we all know the blockchain is cryptographically secure, right? And this serves as a foundation. So because it's cryptographically secure, we can run several nodes and like duplicate the same data and have it decentralized. And because that system is decentralized, we can put things like, we can put code on top of it or any kind of data and make it like immutable, turn it into like an immutable ledger, which we've heard several times before, right? And because we have an immutable ledger, which is pretty much just like, you could oversimplify and say it's an unhackable layer of information or a database. Because we have a database, we can put logic on top of that database, and that's exactly what smart contracts are. So yeah, I mean, if you look at the image below that, a smart contract is pretty much just a program that runs on that immutable ledger. And because that program has immutability from the blockchain at its core, essentially it means that it can run unhindered based on the rules that it was initially programmed with. So the example there is just a simple if condition. It's sort of like simulating insurance payouts if you miss your flight. But yeah, more on that later.
So when you say immutable, and this is just for people who've never heard that term before, no, immutable means that once it's been put in the database, you can't edit it and you can't delete it anymore. So it's like carving it in stone. Basically, it's always going to be there, and that's a very, very important part of every blockchain. Bitcoin, obviously, is kind of the one that kind of started this whole immutable database thing, where you couldn't actually once the transaction has been recorded, it can't be removed. And because of that, it's a very reliable source of information. Sorry, I just wanted to kind of make sure that people understand that definition.
That's a really good note to take there.
Yeah. Okay, so we're getting some questions from the chat. I guess this is the point where we actually take a look at this thing. So I'm just going to switch my scene really quick. I hope this works. All right. Okay, here we go. So this is if everyone can see this is the Forsage website. Obviously, just because we are looking at this does not mean we are endorsing it. We are looking at it because we want to explain how it works. Okay. My first impression, though, when I saw it, I was like, "Wow, this stuff is good. Like, it looks good." No, and actually, I changed my lights to kind of try to match the Forsage look right now. I don't know if you guys noticed, but like this is the kind of thing.
Eman too.
This is the kind of thing that matters to me, bro. Yeah,
How many people you got below you?
So I've got if you guys are open-minded, I've got an investment opportunity for you. I don't know if you want to join my team. Anyway, so okay, jokes aside, and no, Bloom will never ask you to do anything like this. It's just a joke. I really like the look on this website. I mean, I thought it was pretty nice. I don't know if this is a true claim. They actually say first ever 100% decentralized. I don't actually know if that's true. I don't know if this is the first ever 100% decentralized investment scheme, but that's what they're saying. If you actually want to go through the marketing stuff, I'm not going to play the marketing video anymore, but let's just say they promise a lot of money and they do guarantee it. That's kind of one of the things that they really say a lot of. If you scroll down, you'll actually see here, there's supposedly 500,000 participants. There's supposedly 12,000 new participants today. And then they're even saying how much they've earned. Certainly not a small amount of money, right? So impressive numbers, I guess, if you believe that part. But we don't actually have to take their word for it. We can actually check, because that's the nice thing about products and services that are actually built on top of the blockchain. You can verify what they are saying. You don't have to just believe their claims just because it's on their website. Now, if you wanted to verify exactly what this stuff does under the covers, what you would do, I'm just gonna quickly show you guys. There's actually a contract address here, right? So this is how the entire scheme works. It is inside this link. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on this link and I'm gonna show you exactly what's in it. Okay?
You see the SEC warning right at the top on the Etherscan page. That's interesting.
Yeah, so the Etherscan page already identifies it as a Ponzi scheme, because I guess lots of people are doing the same thing we're doing. We're actually looking at it on Etherscan. Now, okay, so if you don't know what Etherscan is, it's a blockchain explorer. But more than that, because Ethereum is more than just transactions, Etherscan will actually show you the code that makes up a particular smart contract. And it's actually here. So obviously here, the list of transactions, you can see all that. If you've ever seen this before, it'll look familiar to you. These are the ins and out transactions for the whole thing. But if you click on one of these tabs here, you'll actually see the code that runs it. And because the blockchain is meant to be transparent, they can't hide it. They actually have to show you what it is, right? So this is the Forsage smart contract. Right on the Etherscan page, we can actually look at it ourselves. We can verify what it's doing. And we can actually, if we wanted to, not that we want to do that, but if we wanted to, we could actually take this and make our own version of it if we really, really wanted to. Chris, I know that you spent a couple of hours earlier, like looking into this. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I mean, in typical developer fashion, what we try to do is just deploy it ourselves and try to run it and tinker with it, and that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys are familiar with the Robston testnet on Ethereum, I deployed a copy of Forsage on it, and I can send you guys the link if you want to take a look. Let me just that.
Just don't send him any money.
Well, it's test ETH, it's Robson ETH, so it would be fine.
Okay.
Or so I say. But yeah. Anyway, while I'm fetching that link, essentially I just got a good feeling of how the smart contract worked. And I essentially MLM'd myself using a few accounts on my MetaMask.
Nice.
And yeah, I earned money pretty fast. Essentially, it was my money, but went to some transaction fees, and the rest just went back to my root account. I mean, there's nothing different about it. There's nothing magic. There's no magic happening there. It's really just MLM logic, just put on a smart contract, really.
To simplify it would be, I put in a bit of money, then I get you to put some money in, and then I get paid by what you put in, and then you get someone else, and I get on the downline for it. So
right. So as long as there's always new members, it's always going to keep working, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There has to always be new money. New money. Yeah. Correct.
So looking at this, there's going to be a lot of unethical people trying to sign up other people that will be equally unethical or unsuspecting.
So Chris, when I first showed you this smart contract, your observation was that there was way too much logic on it. What did you mean by that?
Yeah. So when you're building applications on the blockchain, specifically Ethereum, a general rule is you don't want to put too much on it. Because it's immutable, because you can't quickly just upgrade it anytime and change the logic that's already there, you want to put as little as possible so that you make as little mistakes. These guys, whether through good decision or not, put their whole logic on the smart contract. Right. Now, is that good? Is that bad? Not necessarily, but it tells me that these guys may not be a professional blockchain team. It may be their first project. Now, these are just my opinions, so feel free to contradict me. But a lot of the things about that contract while reading through it tell me that it is not a professionally developed product, at least right now.
Okay.
So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of things I could go through, but that would be one thing.
But that's great. So one of the most important things about smart contracts is because you can't actually change them anymore once they've been put on the blockchain. We're stuck with this, right? Whatever this version is, for good or for bad. If there's bugs in it, we're stuck with that bug.
Right.
And everyone who uses it is basically going to be, we're just going to have to live with it. No?
Yeah.
I wanted to show one very particular, actually, I've got some comments in the chat. So Lauren has shared the ETH address of the owner of the contract. Shall we take a look? Am I going to see some crazy amount of money in here? Is that why you're sharing this?
No, he's got his balance 0 Ether, and he's had 85 transactions. So
not a lot, yeah.
Not a lot.
Okay, interesting. Okay. Okay. So sorry, where were we? Yeah. So I wanted to show. So this is it. So this is this little bit of code at the very bottom. This is basically the payout. So it's called send ETH dividends. And, we scroll down past 400 lines of code, and this is the one that really matters because this is the one that will tell you what the thing is actually doing. And here, all it's really doing is it's sending money to someone who is one level above you in the ladder. The technical term is a matrix. It's different from a pyramid, but essentially it's the same thing. So what Mark was saying earlier is correct. If I am the main person who has referred you guys, I will get my money back if I can get Miko and Justin to join. And Miko will get his money back if he can get Mark to join. And Justin will get his money back if he can get Chris to join. Right? And so on and so forth. And that's basically all there is to it. There's nothing else going on here that should make you think that there is any other way that you could earn money from this other than by taking someone else's money.
But that there's a kind of important lesson to be learned from smart contracts operating independently. Because as Forsage said to the SEC in the Philippines, if you take our website down, it can still be run like interacted with via Etherscan or other sites.
Yeah.
Which means in the future, if all assets are digital and they're trying to avoid regulations or whatever, then there's nothing that the SECs around the world can do as this develops. More and more stuff goes digital and it goes on contract. There's no one really in charge, and that's interesting for the future.
Yeah. Lauren Lance is saying that you can see that owner address is receiving a steady stream of 0.025 Ether.
Really?
Should take a look again here. I might be looking at the wrong one, actually. I'm not sure if this is the one. So what that means, in case you guys are wondering, 0.025 Ether is the entrance fee. That's the lowest level entrance fee for this scheme. So I assume that means that he is getting it back from all of the people that are joining. I don't know if Lauren had some other
Which address is that? Which address? Is it in the smart contract? Which address gets paid out? 0.02?
It's not hard-coded in the smart contract.
How is it getting it then?
There's an owner.
Yeah, but that's only got 85 transactions, and I can't see the 0.02 steady transactions. So that makes sense. If you're going to create a Ponzi scheme, you're going to get the first bits that go in and let everyone run it.
Right. Yeah.
Chris, there's a question here from Chabu Dot. He's asking, has the code been audited, and how can we find out if it's been audited by a third party?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. That's actually one of the traits that you want to watch out for in proper DeFi protocols. So that's a really good question. Usually, if you look at all these DeFi protocols, before I answer that question, like Compounder Maker, you'll see that they're audited by some popular ones like OpenZeppelin. If you see a project audited by OpenZeppelin, which is really trusted by the community, they made ERC20, ERC71, then it's probably okay, right? Not definitively, but most likely. To answer that question, how do you know if it's been audited? You'll have to ask the auditor, because this is not a decentralized process. Sometimes they'll advertise that they're audited by OpenZeppelin, which companies like, let's say, Argent, if you've heard of that DeFi wallet, they say they are. Proper DeFi companies will automatically say that they're audited by a popular third party for credibility. What you'll notice with Forsage is they don't even know, you don't even know who their team is. You don't know who their auditors are. You don't know the community, which is a big contrast to Compounder Maker, because they have a public governance token, they have a community, they have auditors, they have a public team. So, yeah. It's not automated, but they would say, yeah.
We've got another question here. Sorry, Tony, were you about to read it out? I wasn't sure if you saw the one from Rich, Alex.
Go ahead.
So his question was, can you just discuss crowdfunding thing, which is connected to Forsage?
Really connected.
Crowdfunding.
It seems like crowdfunding, but it's really just...
I think they've used the buzzword, but there's nothing in there about crowdfunding.
Yeah. I think they're just using it to mask the Ponzi, right? Because they're not funding anything, right? You're just funding the one above you.
Yeah,
you're not putting up
your friends.
Yeah.
Right.
There's would you still? I mean, I'm not promoting this or anything. I'm not in it, right? So, but would you say this is a scam? Because usually a scam has a centralized actor that actually gets a huge amount of the money that comes in through the Ponzi scheme, right? But this one seems to be like sort of like an experiment. If you can do an automated way of doing a pyramid scheme or
this is one of the first decentralized Ponzi schemes.
That's what it said on the website.
It's a scam. Yeah.
But I mean, there's no one person that can just get out of it and just take all the money, right? So, but definitely, if you're the one who started it, you'd get a lot because
Lauren just mentioned in the chat that the way you look at the trickle of Ether to the owner address is by looking at internal transactions. And I forgot that was where it was. So if you look there, you'll see that it's got, every few minutes, there's like a small trickle of Ether going into the owner. So that's, I guess this is your centralized entity, Pao, because that is where it's going. Like whether or not it's big or small, like, you know, if you have 500,000 users, I don't actually know if there actually are 500,000 users on this thing. You'll start to feel that if it's 0.025 Ether for each person.
So in the internal transactions, each of the addresses going to is different. They're not to one address. They look like internal transactions paying out to different addresses that I don't know if they're separate. They look like the owner's addresses. So it looks like a completely decentralized thing where no one's making any money except the people that are trying to gain other people.
On another note up there, I would say it's still centralized because the actual deployer of the contract is just one party.
Yeah, but is he earning?
Yeah, I mean, like in terms of control of the protocol, in practice, like let's say if you look at a proper DeFi protocol, let's say again Compound Maker, because they're just really good examples. They try to sort of like outsource all the functions of the, let's say, administrator back to the community. That to me is a sign for their decentralization.
So this is a Ponzi scheme for the benefit of everyone.
Seems like it.
It seems like it.
That is the.
I mean, that could just be a distraction made by the contract owner. Like they could have been the first one to invite, and as long as they're the first one to invite, then they're still on top of the.
Where's the address? Where's the address with the most money that's been earned, and then that might point to that.
Okay, so maybe there's more research that we should do to answer that particular question. Or Mark, I don't know. Maybe you should, take a hit for the team and join with 0.025.
No, because that means I've got to get you guys to come in after me. I earn some money.
If you guys,
I don't think you're going to do it.
If you guys want to experiment, I deployed the clone on Robston. So just switch your MetaMask to Robston. I'll send you the address. Send test ETH in, and I'll show you how much I'm earning from you guys. So
here's a funny thing.
Fake Ether. Okay.
I mean, the more people who keep kind of still going into this, I feel like this can grow because it's got, as long as there's still new members, someone's gonna keep money. Shouldn't this make the price of ETH go up? Like that's what I would buy if stuff like this keeps up.
Well, I mean, it's not the only one, right? I mean, as of just a few days ago, it used to be number one. Now it's number 4 because there's more dApps out there.
But on the flip side, there's some performance issues related to that, like they're clogging up the network, right?
Yes, yeah, for sure. So that's another one. Someone else, was it Open Alexa? God, I don't want to get the name wrong. Someone in the chat already mentioned something. Yeah, was that it? Yeah. Okay. I can't find the original comment, but he was saying that it's actually very similar. So there's more and more of them because, I mean, it turns out it's actually pretty easy to pull this stuff off. All you have to do is get the code from here. Maybe make a few little
reskin the website.
Change
make it a cuter cat, not so aggressive, kind of like a house cat or something.
But the price, the Ether price will stay up again as long as the person or the people aren't selling as they collect it, because if they sell it as they collect it, even to some other crypto or USDT, then it's going to alleviate.
That's true. Yeah, it just liquidates, right? So parang it's in and out also. You kind of want people to be holding it a little bit more, but it doesn't seem like that's what would be happening here either. Okay, let's see. So Chabu is saying that's another mystery. With the boom of DeFi, Ether price was tamed. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't have a lot. I bet Chris will have more to say about this. But I think it's because you buy Ether, but you convert it to something else, right? You convert it to DAI. So it relieves the pressure also on the other side. Even if DAI is on Ethereum, like your Ether doesn't stay as Ether, right?
Yeah. What do you think, Chris? Is there a reason why, it seems like DeFi is, 10x of where it was 2 years ago, right? But for some reason, the Ethereum price hasn't reflected that.
I think that's because stable coins are the base of DeFi, not Ethereum, like what Ramon said. Like on trading pairs and exchanges, I mean, you can do BTC USDT, BTC USDC, BTC DAI. I mean, not really on centralized ones, but on DEXs, you can, decentralized exchanges. You can go all over. I mean, you can like go straight from BTC, mint it into WBTC or REN BTC, which are just wrapped versions of that on Ethereum, and then just go straight into DeFi from there. You don't even have to go Ethereum anymore, aside from the transaction fees. So Ethereum being marketed as the world computer by companies like Consensus is true. Ethereum really is just a payment
computer.
Yeah.
So, but by that logic, doesn't it mean and like, you know, a lot of people when Ether was going crazy, right? And by going crazy, it was like when it went from $1 to like $11. I thought that was insane. That was like many years ago. Anyway, were they correct that, you know, like if ETH itself is not the thing that's supposed to be valuable?
Well, I mean, there's a whole bunch of answers to that. I can't say I have the answer, but my opinion is that ETH will go up once people start staking on ETH2. And that would be most of it. Like that would be a significant like bump to the price just because people are just locking up everything left and right. Whether ETH would go up because of DeFi, I'm not sure. But I think you would probably make a decent amount staking stable coins in liquidity pools, just getting fixed rates. So.
It's a bit like there's another network that I like, and people know me as Stellar, but it's a payment network, and the price has always been very low. And it's not about whether the coins go to the moon. It's just a very useful network for what it does. International payments and moving value around. And Ethereum is very useful for creating contracts and to do all sorts of things. And it's the same thing. You need to use the gas. So the more that's used, the more Ethereum you've got to buy to pay for those. So it should go up in price at some point.
Just not now.
Not now.
Yeah. We've got some comments here in the chat. I'm not sure which one of these we've already addressed, but like Mark Dave is saying that he doesn't see anything given to the owner. This is the account that created the contract. There's no coming in on that account. I don't know. That might be. So still some stuff for us to.
It's described as a Ethereum-based cash gifting scheme. There you go.
Oh yeah. But gifting schemes are illegal. So like that's actually in the law. It's not like if you describe it that way, then you aren't actually supposed to promote it as such.
So that's what they call it. SEC just needed to read it and then scam.
Yeah, pretty much. I forgot to mention, so Attorney Ryan was actually one of the people who was trying to explain this stuff to me from a legal perspective. And he was saying that there's no specific law in the Philippines against Ponzi schemes. There is specific laws, obviously, against estafa. And in order for estafa to work, you actually have to basically deceive your buyers. In order for the estafa thing to stick, you actually have to deceive your buyers. And what that means is, if I told you guys, hey, join my Ponzi scheme because we're early on in the life of the Ponzi, and we'll all make some money off it. If I tell you guys that it's a Ponzi scheme, that's not estafa. Whether or not you make any money from it, whether or not you lose any money,
that's
from it, because you labeled it as such. Which was like, what the heck? Okay,
but anything in the SEC, if you register it as like this is a security, you put money in, you get dividends back. So that's a definition of security, and so they wouldn't approve it. Mm-hmm. So it's an unapproved security, which is why they're saying
yes.
Ponzi scheme.
Correct. Yeah, and that's why it's a warning, right? They're not. I mean, that's all it is. It's they can advise the public not to join it. They can maybe even compel the banks to not bank these people, but the problem is there are no banks that they could approach in this scenario, and that's why it's such an interesting case because all of the normal things that the SEC would be able to use to put a stop to this, it's not available to them. They can't shut down the website. Really, I mean,
no, they can. They could shut down the website, but it wouldn't matter. People,
right. That's what I meant. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. So shutting down the website's irrelevant because you could still interact with the smart contract. There's no banking that you could lean on to make it hard for the founders to take more money from people. And they're not even here, right? They're completely remote. So it is.
Attorney Raf Padilla says that Ponzi schemes are prohibited under the anti-fraud provisions of the Securities Regulation Code.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that clarification, Raf. I will mention to Attorney Ryan that you disagree with his comments.
Like I said, this is going to be good for the future in that you can make contracts like this in the future where governments can shut them down. They can't shut them down. So if you have digital ownership of land, for example, in the future, like in Decentraland and so on, then you can't argue about dividends paid off it, etc., because it's all decentralized. It's going to be quite interesting.
There's a note there regarding shutting down the website that connects to the smart contract. There are things now like decentralized sort of DNS services, like unstoppable domains. If you Google it, or even the Ethereum naming service, meaning you can't shut down, for example, what's a good one? Let's say Luis.eth. Something like that would be something you can't shut down. You can stick a website on that using IPFS. So even that layer, you won't be able to shut that down anymore. So.
Wow. But people would have to have the appropriate browsers, no, to be able to view that. You couldn't just could you just go there with any normal browser?
You would, you're right. You would need the right browser to support it, but Opera supports it. Brave, I think, supports it soon or already does. So it's here. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And an Etherscan will allow you to interact with the contract directly.
Yeah.
So,
although it is apparently also quoting government entities like the SEC when it feels appropriate. That's appropriate.
No offense to the Philippines SEC, but to the rest of the world, will they actually take any notice of the fact that the SEC in the Philippines has said anything?
Even Filipinos are not taking notice of the fact that the SEC is saying this. So, I guess not, right? It made the news, but maybe it's reasonable to assume that if there are enough of us who kind of point to this thing and describe it as a scam, maybe that'll be enough to kind of discourage other people from.
Look, that's the same with any pyramid scam, or they eventually get found out, and that's it. It goes on to the next scam. So,
yeah. Yep. Right. Okay. I want to make sure that we've answered most of the questions.
I'm not sure if we've passed this point of the discussion, but there was a question for Chris on backdoors. I don't know what that means. Are there any backdoors?
In the smart contract code, I guess.
I think so. Yeah.
I did a quick run through and I didn't immediately see anything. Disclaimer: I'm not like a security auditor like Open Zeppelin. But if there is a backdoor, I don't see it. The functionality is not complicated enough to really miss anything. It's only managing the levels of your downlines and paying ETH out. That's it. Yeah,
pretty much.
Not like you would find on like MakerDAO had a bit of a loophole in their keeper system or their auctioning system. Nothing like that.
Okay.
But maybe if you ask an auditor at Open Zeppelin, they would find one. Maybe.
Yeah, I think the backdoor that we're trying to find right now, or at least people in the chat are trying to find, is the question of how the owner is making money from this. And that's the part that we, for some reason, haven't managed to.
But it doesn't really matter if the owner doesn't make anything. It's still a Ponzi scheme because people are getting paid by getting other people to come in. You only get you rob Paul to pay Peter.
Right.
So,
yeah. And I think that's kind of the working definition. No? There's no real product. There's no service here that's being sold. All it is someone else's money is being used to pay you or someone above you. And that's kind of it. There's nothing else going on here. And for once, you can see that transparently on the blockchain.
That's what makes it interesting.
Yeah. It's not a thing that is kind of hidden from you by some organization that is mysterious. You can literally check that is what is happening in the blockchain code, which might be the first time we've seen something like this, I guess.
Which is why, it's pretty good education for the millions of people who are actually doing it. Well, there's 1.5 million transactions there. So they're all learning what a smart contract is, which is good for Ethereum.
We've got some comments in the chat that I want to read through. Mark Dave is saying, we know how strong these smart contracts are, and the scary thing is that we can't stop it. The code is public. Anyone can just copy it and make another one. Oh, next topic.
I think it's really behavior that's going to have to change, human behavior, right? Because I think the world will increasingly become like this, where you can't stop it, even if you wanted to. So what needs to change is, or the responsibility rather lies on us, right? To be more rigorous about joining or not avoiding scams.
Or just educating, right? Just letting the public more awareness.
I apologize for the programming code nosebleed. I was telling Chris earlier that the goal with the show is to give people just enough of a nosebleed that they learned something, but not too much of a nosebleed that they actually can't remember anything that they learned. One other comment, Jeff Caceres. I'm just afraid Forsage would be the mother of all smart contract Ponzi matrix schemes. And other companies like Vumu, I've never heard of that one. Vumu and Open Alexa are following suit. It would open an opportunity for other scammers to implement the same scheme under different project names to keep scamming people, and you wouldn't be able to shut it down.
This would be solved by herd immunity.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Okay.
Enough people get scammed and they go, okay, we know it's just another scam. So that's eventually going to happen.
Right.
I also think there's some pressure on regulators to eventually adapt and start putting logic on like whitelisted registries on smart contracts. So just like we have trusted code auditors, we should have trusted regulatory smart contracts that whitelist these things. And if, for example, this smart contract isn't listed in that DApp that's backed by your government, then maybe you shouldn't use it.
And which government will audit it and be okay? Will it be the Philippines?
It will be the new world government that runs on a blockchain market.
Of course you would say that.
The president of that new world.
The government
with Kanye West as
Kanye would be Kanye. That's the problem. I'm not sure if I want this world. This world sounds crappy. I don't like this world. Paolo Del Puerto, you've been quiet. Do you have any thoughts on this? Like, if someone tells you asks you about your opinion on these decentralized Ponzi schemes, do you think that they are necessary evil? Do you think that there's something that we need to?
Or will you just sell them more Ethereum?
No, actually, it is not good to have these types of schemes, right? Because maybe not because of them in itself, right? It's more of these can be used by third party to scam people further, right? So let's say, for example, for Forsage, you can use it, you can describe it, but actually you're just scamming a person to give you money, and you'll tell them that I'll send you ETH so you can join this the scheme, right? But in the end, they don't get the ETH or something.
At least
right?
it's transparent.
Actually, that's why I was asking, will you categorize this as a scam? Because if you say it's a scam, it's actually a fraudulent, deceptive thing. But since it's super transparent, right now at least,
I wouldn't say it's a scam, but I would say it's a Ponzi scheme.
It's a Ponzi scheme, right? Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not a scam.
But a Ponzi scheme can be used as a scam by a third party, another layer, right? So probably there's a community here that would post themselves as a community of Forsage, but they're actually using Forsage to run a scam, right?
I don't think there'll be any more Ponzi schemes in the old way. It'll all be on the blockchain now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's definitely sounding like that's the case nga ngayon. Nico Ilas, any thoughts on? Oh, sorry. Yes, is there a question?
Yeah, just a quick clarification from Omar Vergara. So he was told that even if you don't recruit or if you are inactive, your account will still earn via overspillage. Does overspillage exist in Forsage? And they said he was also told that if the team you joined is active, then you will still earn from it.
How?
So he's asking, is that legit or is that just marketing?
Oh, is overspillage like downline payments? So you get like if you got
there's more people on the downline.
Yeah. So he's like, can I still earn if I don't convince other people to join me? You know.
Okay, so
what does a smart contract say?
So I think the answer to that is technically yes, but none of this stuff is sustainable. And like there's the reason why we're now doing matrix cyclers and not the classic pyramid scheme. And this is like another thing that I just spent way too much time reading about. The thing about classic pyramid schemes is once you get past level 12, you need more people than the population of the world in order to join your scheme, because there's not like it's basically you can only recruit enough people to hit level 11, and beyond that you run out of people. So matrix cyclers are a little bit more I guess dense with the way they pack the levels together, and that's why they're the new version of this stuff. But the same mathematics will still eventually bear out. You will not be able to find enough people to recruit for this stuff to work. So eventually it just stops working. And I think that what we can do maybe to prove this sideways, because I don't know, unless Chris, you really want to spend a little bit more time really, really going down deep into this smart contract. But like one way we can prove this is by checking what happens to, to Forsage like a week from now or 2 weeks from now, right? Is it still going to have the daily active users or stuff like that? And I'm very doubtful that would be the case.
I'm just looking up the difference between a Ponzi scheme and a pyramid scheme. Ponzi scheme, they give money to a manager, and then when they want their money back, they get paid by incoming funds coming from someone else. And a pyramid scheme, the initial schemer recruits other investors who in turn recruit other investors and so on. So this is more of a pyramid scheme.
It is. It is more of a pyramid scheme. And the matrix cycler idea is actually kind of a child of
matrix pyramid.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, honestly, it's just a fancy name, but honestly, it's the same. It's kind of the same refusal to follow the laws of reality. That is really what's going on there.
And it relies on people's greed to make money. Simply. Nothing.
Yeah.
Fast bucks, usual thing.
Right. I think Aldrin Rabino was saying something very similar here in the chat. He was saying that at the end of the day, it's all about people's discretion on how their level of understanding is in a particular platform. The sad reality is when it comes to these matters, people just become greedy.
Yeah. Yep.
That's true. That is definitely true. Sorry, Miko Ilas. Thoughts on this whole thing? Do you open-minded ka ba, I guess is the question that I wanted to ask you.
All that I understand here is that ewan ko, yung 2.5 mo gawin nating 250 as how. And they can get that same outcome with, I don't know, bad trading. So trade na lang ako. Sabay na.
Okay.
So your answer is trade on Binance.
Okay, that is really an answer. Mark Dave Manansala, I agree with Mark. The world knew Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies because of a Ponzi scheme called BitConnect, right? I mean, it was a little bit more than that. I mean, it's not just because of BitConnect, naman. BitConnect is just the funniest.
Yeah, but each of those were a blemish, you could say. I mean, even if like just to be associated with it was a problem, and I think this is going to continue to be a problem for Ethereum also.
But as long as people don't think, Forsage is a scam, so therefore Ethereum is a scam. The same way people were saying, I got scammed because I used Bitcoin, so therefore Bitcoin is a scam.
Right. It's easy to separate that, like that one makes the other necessary, but it's just that people, they jump onto conclusions, and we won't be able to talk to everybody in the world. So
that was actually one of the very first questions that I got about this topic. One of them, some people were saying that, this is legit, right? Forsage is legit. It was built on top of Ethereum, and you're telling me Ethereum is legit. Doesn't that mean that Forsage is legit? And that's, Ethereum has no say on whether or not a project is legit or not legit. Ethereum is just
centralization, so you can't do that.
An analogy, I guess, is like Windows is legit, but whatever you code on Windows doesn't become automatically legit, right? You can code in good products, you can code in really bad
viruses. You can make viruses,
right? And it's analogies like that will help people understand. But it's just a hassle that we have to, people need to defend it that way. But hey, that's reality.
Yeah. We do have to communicate better as a community so that people don't get led to these get rich schemes, right?
Jeff Caceres is saying, I heard that they are planning to launch Forsage Academy.
Yeah, you saw that. I saw that.
What would he even teach? Oh my God!
See, those are the things that I'm mentioning. They're building scams on top of it, right? So this is a scam, right?
Yeah.
What most probably you'd have to pay them to learn something, to learn.
Oh my God!
To learn how funny. Once they have a captured market, right? The verticals that they're building on it.
Yeah. Hey, Miko, do you guys have Binance Academy yet? Like, maunahan pa kayo ng Forsage. What the hell?
There's a thing. I see a lot of, we see a lot of these less than legitimate projects that kind of take their cue from, of course, the more established successful ones.
Right.
Where they do it all wrong. So, yeah.
Okay.
Academy is not trademark word anyway, so yeah, people will see through it. I believe it.
Nice. Okay. Well, yeah. I hope that the whole Forsage Academy thing is not really happening. But I guess it's just teaching people how to market, right? That would be essentially what it is.
By the way, there's a question from Raf talking about yield farming being security and so on. But I think this is for a future show when we can cover DeFi.
Yeah, and I mean, now that we've got Chris on the Rolodex, I'm sure that we can tap him for his knowledge on this stuff also. I've been looking at the yield farming stuff.
Yeah.
I don't completely understand what's going on there, but it looks freaking weird to me.
Well, I've been doing stuff.
Weird.
I've been learning about this stuff all week and talking to Chris as well. And it's I'm trying to get my head around it. And the yields were quite high, but they're actually dropping for different reasons. The last month or two.
Is it because of Forsage? Is it because there's better yields from Forsage?
There's a reason, but I think there's a whole show you can do on DeFi for people how to allow people to make money on their money more than they earn from bank interest, etc. It's a really interesting subject.
A lot of the super high yield farming percentages are actually just like mostly incentivization to get like liquidity onto the new protocols. Mm-hmm. So if you've heard of Ampleforth, for example, what they're doing is they're telling people to stake ETH and Ample liquidity on Uniswap. So I might be throwing around some random things here now, but on Uniswap, so that people like start earning fees by providing like the ability to trade between ETH and Ampleforth, that token. And then they want you to take the representation of that liquidity and stake it again on a DApp of Ampleforth so you earn more Ampleforth.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, I mean, there's specific things like with each stablecoin, but a lot of it is to incentivize liquidity and to just print more tokens to like sort of jumpstart that liquidity the same way Bitcoin miners were in the early days. So it will go down definitely.
I mean, yield farming isn't really sustainable in the long term, but just DeFi in general is just a good way of sourcing funds. Right now, I think they're using it mostly so you can buy more crypto to gamble on the market. But as a future, a future market of getting funds so you can borrow or lend, I think it's good.
So speaking of printing more tokens, it's time for our raffle, guys. We are actually over time again. I was expecting this to be a pretty detailed show, but it looks like we've managed to really, really pack it in. People in the chat, thank you so much for your contributions. Attorney Raf, again, thank you for correcting me every single chance you can get. I'm kidding. I'm actually technically you were correcting Attorney Ryan, so it's technically his fault. Anyway, okay, so we're gonna do the raffle now. As usual, we are doing 3 winners, and it's just going to be randomly picked from the audience. If you commented sometime in the last 90 minutes, and wow, holy crap, we really did 90 minutes this time. you will be eligible for a prize. Okay, so I'm just gonna hit it right now, and we're gonna do this 3 times. Here we go. Drum roll. BJ Rams. Why does this name sound familiar? Does anyone remember if BJ Rams won last week? Is that
not last week?
Okay. All right. Anyway, let's write down his name. Are you still there? There he is. Oh crap! Wait, where is he? I'm sorry, Tony. Can you be the one to do it now? Anyway, there. Okay, so we'll do 2 more winners. Here we go. Pick another winner. Drum roll. Z Long. Okay. Another new name. Thank you so much for joining the chat. Very happy to. Oh, he's saying reroll. Are you sure? Okay. All right. So he's saying reroll, so I guess we'll do another one. Okay.
That's nice of him.
Yeah, that's nice of him. Maybe I'll pick Mark. Oh my God. That'd be great.
I never win anything.
Weird sounds. Okay, Rich, Alex. So I know that you have different opinions with us regarding this topic, but we thank you for watching, and we value different opinions here. We don't expect everyone to agree with us, but thank you for participating. So you have made a little bit of money tonight. Because of your comments.
Sorry,
Yes?
Zilong was asking for a reroll before he heard his name get called out. So now that he's won, he's very happy.
Oh, okay. All right. So we've done 3. Yeah, okay. So we've done Rich Alex, we've done Zilong, and BJ Rams. Okay. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. We've got a video from Miko that we wanted to end the show with. So I just wanted to. So while the rest of us was busy kind of reading about Ether Ponzi schemes and stuff, Binance Filipino was working on their COVID charity. And Miko has a very short video that he wanted to share with us. So I'm just going to play it here. Here you go. Oop. Oh, sorry. Is that working?
I share my screen now.
Sorry, is it working or
is it supposed to be on the live stream only?
Yeah, okay. I guess it's not working. Miko, do you want to share your screen na lang? I couldn't get it working in OBS.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Let me
There's a comment. I hope it's not Miko on TikTok.
I mean, it still might be. If we have enough Ether donors, we might actually do that.
I'm not even on TikTok. Okay, I'll play now.
Okay, go for it.
Good morning mga kabaitans. Check out din sa lahat ng medical supply. Let's go!
Nice.
Punta kami ng pula, pero tutuloy pa rin. Binance guarantee for your education. Spend ito sa amin para protektahan namin sa sarili namin kapag nagwala natin sa mga. Thank you so much, Binance.
Maraming salamat po sa Binance Charity coming from Alameda City, Pangasinan.
Binance Charity for the donation. Thank you, Binance Charity.
Nice. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Binance team. Congratulations, Binance Angels. That sounds like a really amazing project. I know that Archeline was actually even sick the week after that. Hopefully not COVID related. So that was a really cool initiative you guys made. Miko, I know that you had some other things that you wanted to talk about. So like maybe as we say our goodbyes, why don't you kick it off? Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you very much sa lahat ng sumuporta dun sa Crypto Against COVID ng Binance Charity. So just donate because another thing is we're about to celebrate our 3-year anniversary. So we have a promo where we're giving out like 90,000 pesos in BNB in total prices. So just go to the Binance blog. There's a promo there. Share ko na lang siguro sa comments later after the call, after this webcast yung link to that. And then may breaking news tayo just an hour ago while we were debating about DeFi and stuff. We just want to announce that Binance has bought Swipe, which is a Filipino-led startup that's tackling credit cards, linking crypto with credit cards.
Wow!
So more details on that soon. But it's also on the blog now, so I'm gonna share these links later. For more about Binance what it does in the Philippines, so just follow us on Telegram, Binance Filipino, and on Facebook as well, Binance Filipino. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miko Ilas. Mark Vernon, where can people find more of you and your work on the internet? Oh, he's gone.
No, I'm still here. I'm having late dinner.
Oh, okay.
So you can find me on tagcash.com or on Telegram at Mark Vernon or on Facebook, fb.com/Mark Vernon.
Thank you so much. Paulo Del Puerto, where can people find more of you?
Yeah, well, you can see it here. And then you can buy and sell ETH also with us. Just message us here or go to our partner in Venice Grand Canal.
Moneybees.ph is a proud supporter of Ethereum, but not of Forsage, just in case anyone was wondering.
Yeah.
Chris Verceles, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise. Where can people find more of you? Tell us a little bit about what you're working on this year.
Yeah, what I'm working on is we're actually bring DeFi, specifically MakerDAO and Compound, to migrant workers around Southeast Asia. So we're making it so that they can send goods and services and money back home and allow their families to essentially access the DAI savings rate, for example. In addition to a whole bunch of things. Where can you find more of me? I'm historically allergic to social media, but you can message me on Telegram. Just search my name. You'll find me there. I think I'm searchable.
Okay.
If not, you can ask Luis and he'll connect us.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. I know that you kind of joined us late, and I kind of had a whole bunch of questions for you. So thanks so much for being so accommodating, and thanks for being generous with your time. We might invite you back on if Mark's wish of talking about like the yield farming stuff comes true. Let's see what the audience says about the next topics. Who else is in the chat? Oh, that's right. I guess that's it. Ramon Tayag, do you want to take us out?
Yeah, sure. Find out more about Bloom at bloom.solutions. And it was great to have all of you on the show.
Thank you so much. We're really happy that people were decided to sit through such a long show. We hope that we answered some of your questions. If you have any other questions, please just mention it to us on the chat in the comments. And we'll be back next week, same time, Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. And for the winners, I will be messaging you right after the show. And I'll be asking you for your Tether addresses. Thank you so much. All right. Good night, everyone.
See you guys.
Bye. And we are offline now.